You're listening to The Takeover here on Life FM. It's Lauren with you this evening, and I am so excited because right now I have a special guest over Zoom, Matthew Gold, who is a singer-songwriter from Nashville. Now, you might recognize that name because a couple of weeks ago, I featured his song Far From Home on Bop of the Week. It came up on my social media and I was obsessed. And how cool is it that I get to talk to him right now? Hey, Matthew, how's it going?
It is going so good. I have to say, you are exceptionally wonderful at that. That was round of applause. You have my chicken radio voice. I'm wonderful. I am doing so good. I feel amped after that intro.
That's great. Now, we obviously we're in very different parts of the world, so our time difference is a bit off. So set the scene. What does your surroundings look like right now?
Well, it's about 10:30 at night where I'm at. I can't see anything out into the distance. It's pretty dark. And after this, I should have eaten dinner a couple hours ago, but I have a trip coming up this weekend, and so I delayed eating dinner. So after this, I'm gonna eat and then probably read and go to sleep. And that's my exciting Thursday night.
Oh, what are you reading at the moment?
Is this a judgment-free zone?
Absolutely. I've just gotten into reading and I'm obsessed.
Okay, well that okay. You're supposed to read when you're a kid, and I think anything that I was ever assigned as supposed to is the key word. Whatever I was assigned as a kid, I think I didn't read or faked my way through. So I just started reading really for the first time a couple months ago, and I'm looking at the books over there. I'm a huge Harry Potter person, and I never read the books, and I was like, it's time. I gotta read them. So it's me and probably a bunch of other t like young kids reading Harry Potter right now, but I love it. It's so good.
That's so good. I also recently got into reading about a year ago. Before that, I didn't pick up much books. There was like one series that I liked, and that was it. And it was a struggle to get through. Harry Potter was something I did try and read, but I started over and over and over and over again, like for 5 years straight, and I gave up.
What was was there something that so you said you're into it now? Was there something that that you started that you're like, oh, because I don't know about you. I've tried reading other things and it's been such a chore. And then I remember the first time I read something and I was like, oh, that's what it's like to enjoy a book. What was that book for you?
Well, I actually I reread the series that I loved in high school that I found because I found out there was a prequel and a epilogue that I didn't know about. So I was like, oh, well, I got to read it all again to then
Of
read
course,
these new
naturally.
books. And
Yeah.
it just sparked. I went from reading to like two books maybe in a year, maybe, to last year I read 16. Like, who am I?
That's what I'm saying. That's literally the goal. That's incredible.
Anyway, let's jump back on track because we're not here to talk about reading, although I love
Yes.
it. We're here to talk about your song Far From Home. Now, we featured this on Bop of the Week, but can you tell us about what this song means to you and what it means, yeah, for why you wrote it?
It's so funny. What this song was written about a year ago. And it's so funny the way that, it surfaces. I've had it done for a while. And I originally wrote it about the idea of it was tackling a few different things. It was tackling watching a lot of my friends move on to the next chapter of life. It was kind of tackling at the time that there was a significant other who I felt like we were just at different journeys and different paths. And so part of the song I'm talking to that person and I'm going, are we gonna find our time? And other parts of the song I'm talking to myself and I'm basically saying like I'm wondering if like in pursuit of all these other things that I'm chasing, am I missing out on life? But ultimately I think by the end of it, I think I'm coming to a point that me and this significant other, while we're on pretty different paths, we're both, I think, maybe not on what everybody else is doing, but I think that like somewhere down the line, me and this person will find our way. And so it tackles singleness, it tackles the idea of society pressure and peer pressure and whatnot of watching everybody else. But then it's just about, longing for a time with somebody that you care about.
And all of those things are so relatable, right? Like, I look around and, like, in my life, so many people are at different life stages, or like the people that I want to get close with, like, they are on different trajectories. And so it's like such a relatable song. And I think that's what I connected with it the most because I was like, oh, wow, this is like a reflection of what I'm feeling on the inside. And I know that that's so common in, the young adult life at the moment, or even, outside of that.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, that was the chorus came before anything else, and I just thought it was a really like it was a fun line. But I remember writing the first couple of lines and showing another buddy of mine who was single. I used to live in another part of the United States, and one of my really good buddies back home, we both were just miserably single, not miserably single, but we were single. And I remember just showing that line of like, how it feels watching everybody find someone. And I was like,
Mm,
dude, I know you feel this as well. And there's something about, you want to be happy for all of your friends that are getting engaged, but there's somewhere down there that I think that like most of us, while outwardly we're so happy, somewhere there's not bitter towards anybody else, but just a bitter towards like why have I not figured it out yet? And the older and which is I find so ironic because it's like the second that I say all the time that like the second you find somebody, it's like you have the rest of your life. But
mm.
these 10-ish years of your 20s and early 30s, every day feels like an eternity. And it's really not the case, but that's the way I think we make it feel.
Absolutely. And how has like music or songwriting in particular helped you through like hard times or processing your emotions or dealing with these feelings?
It's the best thing in the world. I started writing probably even when I was in elementary school, but especially I think when I could really start fathoming or I could start feeling greater emotions the older I got. I want to say like later in high school, it became less of like, oh, this is just creative writing. And it became, I don't really know how to, maybe I don't always feel like having this conversation with my incredible parents, I should say, but maybe I don't feel like having that conversation there, or I don't know if I feel like talking about it with a friend, but I'm able to write it here and then I
Mm,
feel really good. And then especially like if you're like me who's a bit of an empath or feels things pretty heavily, it's also nice when I want to feel nostalgic or I want to feel something, I could go back and kind of listen to something that may not even be super relatable to where I'm at now, but I can listen to something and go, oh, not only do I can go back to that place and kind of revisit those emotions, which I think is healthy. But if
mm.
the song's good, you're also like, what a great byproduct. Now I think I have something that I like out of it, like definition of lemon and lemonade.
I love that. That's so good. And then other people can like use that music to connect and feel the feelings if they need to as well.
What's funny? This is what nobody ever talks about. You think that like when you start making music, you're like, oh, like it would be great if I got X amount of streams or if I got to play in front of X amount of people. And at least at my stage, every single time somebody DMs you and they go, you have no idea how much I'm relating to this in my point in life. You're like, that's the stuff nobody ever tells you, hey, that one person that DMs you is going to make your entire week, but it does.
Yeah.
Somebody goes, this just spoke to me and I feel like I needed to hear it. And you're like, oh, I don't care what else happens with the song. Success. Great.
That's so cool. And then you get to feel so connected to your listeners and your fans, which is so, so special. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, I said I came across your videos on TikTok. And I got to say, they were very, I don't want to say confronting, but they were calling me out very specifically. I'm going to play a little bit of the first one that I saw, so our audience can get a vibe of what I mean. And I have a couple questions about your online presence.
Hashtags on this, but I guarantee if you're seeing this, you're in your late 20s, early 30s, still single, maybe a little conflicted about it, and you're probably really gonna like this song.
So your strategy, which after I watched that video, I went to your page and I was like, what is this? Like, who is this guy? Like, I feel so like pinpointed. So I found your song, listened to it, and then I started scrolling through your social media, and a lot of your videos from that video onwards are like, hey, if you're this, this, and this, this song's for you. And every single one was like talking straight to me, and I felt like, whoa. I'm single. I'm feeling some kind of way about it. I got to ask, was that a choice in the way that you market your song? Was it a happenstance? Like, did someone tell you, "Hey, I think you should market your song like this"? Like, tell me through that process because I got to say it's worked.
That's, oh, I love to hear that it's worked. It's like my favorite comment when people go, I feel really called out right now. I'm not mad, but like I feel called out. And to answer your question, it's so unintentional. It was, I've been making music for a little bit now, and I've been finding ways to promote it. And I've done everything under the sun. I've done the covers, I've done like tried being mysterious, or I've tried being overly like the cool guy and like the intense lighting and whatnot. And in reality, if okay, me and you were talking now, I don't think anything about this is giving like the cool, mysterious guy. This is like, hey, literally ask me anything, I'll tell you anything. And I think they got to a point where all the other charades and all the acts weren't really connecting. And the first time I posted this song, and you kind of know sometimes really early on. I think I literally said something like, "Hey, I don't mean to be the spokesperson for all the single people out here, but like, I think I know what it feels like to be 20 something and watching your friends get married." And being so something about like the same way, like I love all artists and you can do whatever you want with your art, but I definitely knew some artists growing up that I'd watch their interviews and they were like, I don't want to directly talk about the song and it's up to your interpretation. And you're like, tell me about the song, and I'm like, okay, here's exactly what's going on. And I think that's how, given I think that's my normal state of how I want to talk about it. I think when I went to promote it that way, there was something about, I guess, like maybe it comes off authentic. Maybe it's also something along the lines of, it would be much harder to go, here's a song that kind of questions the idea of blank, blank, blank. And sometimes it is easy to market and be like, look, this is exactly what it's about. I think when I dial everything in, that's pretty accurate of if you and I, we're talking on a daily basis, that's exactly how I would talk to you. If I was explaining the song, if I just showed you it for the first time, I would go, I'd be excited. I probably wouldn't hide behind metaphors because I'm not that poetic. And I would say I'd be excited. And I think that approach connected and I guess maybe that's something that I continue trying to do because this is such a if you're somebody awesome like The Weeknd or Frank Ocean and you could be poetic, wonderful, but I think people need a reason to connect to you, and sometimes treating you not as if you're like this person viewing, but hey, you and I are on the same page here, maybe there's something that works in there.
Yeah, I love that. And from a listener's point of view, like if I see you and know that the song comes from like an authentic place, then I know that we've connected on the fact that you're going through the same thing that I was or am or whatever, right? And then, I'm
Yeah.
even more likely to want to listen to your music.
Yeah, 100%. I will say that's the funny part about I have to be a little intentional about when I go to market now. I realize I should say at this point in life, I am no longer single, and I wrote this about a year ago. And
Mm.
so there's some people that they felt almost betrayed. They're like, wait a second, you're not one of us anymore. And I'm like, I'm sorry. And they're like, no, I'm kidding. I want you to be happy. But yeah, but at one point feeling so similar, or so on par with the song and how a lot of people are probably feeling when they're finding out about the song.
That's really cool to hear that you are no longer single. Congratulations. Good for you. How does
Love
your
it.
partner feel about the song and about how it's doing?
I mean, she's so supportive. It's funny. I didn't tell anybody when I dropped the song. I literally, I just released it instead of making a big deal about a release day. I just like put it out like on a Wednesday, and then started posting about it. And then I texted her and I was like, hey, I'm kind of excited that like this thing is kind of connecting. She's like, I just checked it out. She's like, I'm so proud. That's so cool. Um, and I think it also like it helps that I think it's a cool upbeat song. It's not like there's this it's like this really heavy. It's good that something that's connecting it that has to do with like her is it's fun to listen to as well.
Now, after we featured your song on Bop of the Week, our music director absolutely loved the song and decided to put it in rotation here on Life FM, which means for the last 3 weeks, people are listening to your song here in little old Adelaide. How does that make you feel?
I'm like trying to act at not as I if I truly was letting my emotions out, I'd smile like the Grinch or something. Like it would just be like my grin would be up to here. It's incomprehendibly cool. I like that's the fact that like even if you were just like, hey, I'm listening to it on my own, I'd be like, this is awesome. But the fact that the fact that it's being played, the fact that it's being played and we are more, we're more separate on this planet than maybe any other two people. It is
Mm.
mind-blowing. I'm so grateful that you guys like it and that you care enough to want to play it. And I'm cheesing. I'm gonna get off this call and act way less cool, and I'll probably like text my mom and be like, "You have n guess what?" And she's gonna be so excited.
So we have heard the song Far From Home lots and lots here on Life FM. What can we get excited about next?
I dropped a follow up single after that. I say a little less, I don't want to say upbeat, maybe a little less cheerful, if that makes sense. Back in the middle of July, which kind of spawns or kind of correlates to when I told you I got back into reading. The
Mm.
book I read was Perks of Being a Wallflower,
Oh,
and
cool.
it's based off there's the movie, it's based off the book. And back in high school, I loved the movie, and I wrote this song. Have you ever seen Perks of Being a Wallflower by chance?
It was a long time ago, so I it's got like Emma Watson in it, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. We love Emma Watson.
Absolutely.
There's a scene in the movie where there is this where they're driving through the tunnel and they play a song and it's kind of like the main character's like, I feel infinite. And in
Mm,
high school, I felt like I very much was I didn't have a lot of I had a lot of, I was friendly with a lot of people, but I didn't feel like I had a lot of friends. And so
mm.
that movie at the time served as such a comfort. And I felt kind of a connection to the idea of a lot of these people in this movie are a bit of outcast and the misfits, and I so much felt like that. And so a few years after high school, I ended up writing a song. And sometimes songs just fall out of you, and I think this one kind of fell out of me. And it's so not only did it sound like something that I would have if you're driving through the tunnel and you want to feel infinite, that's what I would have put on. But it also was such a love letter to the movie and a love letter to, or I guess a kind of a bit of solace to anybody that maybe is currently in that or at one point felt that. And because the song is talking about like I know what it's like to be really alone, and I know what it's like to be a misfit, but it's this idea that like, hey, the sun's still going to rise tomorrow and you're not alone in those feelings. And so watching the success of Far From Home, I've been sitting on this song probably for like 10 years now, and watching the success of Far From Home, I was like, you know what, I think I'm ready to kind of put this one out there. And so that's called Moments, and Moments is out now. And doing the same thing, I'm trying not to be as calling out and like aggressive about it, but I'm definitely trying to lead with emotion and feeling and honesty. And so that one's out there now. If the songs keep connecting the same way that Far From Home does, the goal eventually would be to try and do a couple shows. We'll see. So yeah, I'll keep throwing stuff at the wall and we'll see what.
That's so exciting. And if people wanted to follow you, find you online, Spotify, all of those things, what would they need to search?
Sure. It's Matthew Gold on Spotify and YouTube and Apple Music. I'm pretty sure the same thing will show up on TikTok and Instagram as well, Matthew Gold or Matthew Gold Music. But on any of those, Matthew Gold, like the color, Gold.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for setting aside some time to chat with me tonight. It's been wonderful to hearing about you and your music. And we're going to put it on right now on the radio another time. This is Far From Home. Matthew Gold, thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
If you ever make it over to Australia, you have to put Adelaide on your ticket because we were the first place to play you on radio.
Of course.